Welcome back, adventurers, to Behind the Capes. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most intense, chaotic, and legendary conflicts in RuneScape history, the Alliance versus the Golden Alliance.
Hey everyone! I've been looking forward to this episode because this was the war that shook the RuneScape world to its core. These two coalitions weren't just fighting for control of the wilderness, they were battling for supremacy. If you were around back then, you know exactly how crazy things got. And if you weren't, buckle up, because we're about to take you on a wild ride.
Exactly, this war was massive, on a scale RuneScape had never seen before. Today, we'll explore the formation of the Alliance and the Golden Alliance, the powerful clans that made them up, and the epic wilderness battles that define this legendary conflict. This wasn't just your average PKing. It was all-out war with everything on the line. But first, let's talk about the individual clans and where they stood before joining these massive coalitions. Each of them had their own story, and we're going to take you through it all, starting with the Alliance, also known as the Syndicate.
Yeah, the Alliance wasn't just thrown together, it was built with some of the strongest, most disciplined clans in the game. Let's kick it off with the Clan, one of the oldest and most respected clans in RuneScape. These guys were already on top before the formation of the Alliance, and teaming up with other powerhouses only made them stronger.
Absolutely. The clan was a force to be reckoned with. Founded back in 1999, they had massive numbers and a reputation for their ability to organize large-scale events and raids. They weren't just a Peking clan, they were a community. By joining the Alliance, they went from being powerful to practically unstoppable. It was a strategic move that ensured their dominance over the wilderness for years to come.
And then there were the Gladiators, or Glads. Before the Alliance, they were already one of the most disciplined and well-organized clans in RuneScape, founded in 2001. They had this mentality of never backing down. And when they joined the Alliance, their leadership and discipline made them a critical part of that powerhouse coalition. They brought the brains, while the clan brought the numbers.
Exactly. The Gladiators had that never-say-die attitude and were a crucial strategic force within the Alliance. Their ability to organize and coordinate attacks with other clans, like Clan Jaguar and the Black Knights, turned the Alliance into an unbeatable machine. Speaking of the Black Knights, these guys were ruthless. Before joining the Alliance, they were already feared throughout RuneScape for their combat strength. They weren't as big as the clan, but they didn't need to be. They were elite fighters, and when they teamed up with the likes of the Gladiators and the clan, it made them even more dangerous.
Oh man, the Black Knights were like the sharp end of the spear. They didn't mess around. If you ran into them in the wild, you knew you were in for a fight. Joining the Alliance only amplified their combat power and gave them the support they needed to dominate even more battles. But let's not forget about Clan Jaguar. They might have flown under the radar compared to the other clans, but they were crucial to the Alliance's success. They weren't the biggest, but their loyalty and effectiveness in battle made them a key player in this coalition. Joining the Alliance gave them access to larger fights, and they proved they could stand toe-to-toe with the best.
Exactly. All these clans had their own strengths, but together they became an unstoppable juggernaut. But they weren't the only ones fighting for control of the wilderness. While the Alliance was dominating, the Golden Alliance was forming in the shadows, ready to challenge them.
Yeah, and the Golden Alliance wasn't just some group of clans looking to shake things up. They were determined to take down the Alliance. Clans like Corruption, Exorcism, Anarchy, and Mystic Dynasty were tired of the Alliance running the show. Let's talk about Corruption first, led by Ikasoiwort. These guys were all about brute strength and relentless aggression.
Absolutely. Before joining the Golden Alliance, Corruption was already feared in the wilderness for their raw power. But they knew that to take down the Alliance, they needed allies. By joining the Golden Alliance, they finally had the numbers to stand a chance against the powerhouse that was the Alliance. This was their shot to shake up the status quo. Then there was Exorcism. These guys weren't the biggest clan, but they were strategic masterminds. Before the Golden Alliance, they were known for using their tactics to outsmart larger clans. Joining the Alliance allowed them to scale up those tactics and really make a difference on the battlefield.
Yeah, Exorcism was all about outthinking their opponents. They didn't have the raw numbers like Corruption, but their strategy made them a force to be reckoned with. And when you pair that with corruption's aggression, you've got a deadly combo. But let's talk about Anarchy, led by Chronic 24. This guy had a mouth on him. He'd trash talk the clan and the Gladiators like it was his job. Anarchy wasn't the biggest clan, but they made up for it with bold moves and fearlessness. They had nothing to lose, and that made them dangerous.
Exactly. Chronic 24 was fearless. He'd call out the biggest clans without hesitation, and that gave Anarchy a reputation as a scrappy, relentless underdog. Joining the Golden Alliance gave Anarchy the credibility and the numbers they needed to actually challenge the Alliance. But it also put them in the middle of a much bigger war. And then there's Mystic Dynasty. These guys were the wild card. Led by Ramus and X-Dragon X, Mystic Dynasty was growing fast. Before joining the Golden Alliance, they were already one of the most unpredictable and chaotic forces in the wilderness. But their internal struggles were a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, Mystic Dynasty had the raw power, but leadership struggles between Ramus and X-Dragon X held them back. Before the Golden Alliance, they were on the rise, but their internal issues kept them from reaching their full potential. When they joined the Alliance, they brought chaos and power to the battlefield. But those leadership tensions never went away.
Now that we know where these clans stood before joining their alliances, it's time to dive into the real action. The wilderness battles. These weren't just regular skirmishes. These were massive, multi-hour wars with hundreds of players clashing for dominance. Let's start with the first major clash at Greater Demons.
Oh man, this battle was insane. Corruption and Exorcism led the charge for the Golden Alliance and went straight after the clan at Greater Demons. They wanted to test the Alliance's strength, and at first, it looked like the Golden Alliance had the upper hand.
Yeah, the Golden Alliance caught the clan off guard, and for the first few minutes, it seemed like they were going to pull off an upset. But then, the Gladiators showed up with reinforcements, and that's when things started to turn. The Alliance quickly regrouped, and their sheer numbers overwhelmed Corruption and Exorcism.
Yeah, the Alliance had too many players. Once Glads arrived, it was game over for the Golden Alliance in that battle. They were forced to retreat, and the Alliance stood victorious. But it wasn't over yet. The Golden Alliance regrouped and struck again at Giant's Plateau.
Exactly, the Golden Alliance wasn't ready to give up. This time they came in with a smarter plan. Exorcism's leadership took charge of the strategy, and they used the terrain to set up ambushes and choke points. It was a much more organized fight, and for a while it looked like the Golden Alliance was going to win.
Yeah, they really gave the Alliance a run for their money at Giant's Plateau. They isolated groups of Alliance members and picked them off, using their tactics to take control of the battlefield. But then, just like before, the Alliance's reinforcements arrived.
Once the Black Knights arrived, it was over for the Golden Alliance at Giant's Plateau. Even with their smart strategies, they couldn't hold out against the sheer numbers of the Alliance. They had to retreat once again, but things were about to get even worse for the Golden Alliance. And then came the mod killing incident. This wasn't just a battle. It was an event that changed everything for the Golden Alliance. During a chaotic wilderness fight, Sparanoid, a moderator from Anarchy, was killed by one of his supposed allies from Corruption. And what started as a joke quickly spiraled out of control.
Oh man, that was a disaster. Chronic 24 wasn't laughing, that's for sure. The killing of Sparanoid sparked a massive rift between Anarchy and Corruption, and suddenly, the Golden Alliance started falling apart from the inside. Trust was shattered, and when you can't trust your allies in the wilderness, you're doomed.
Exactly, this internal betrayal was the beginning of the end for the Golden Alliance. With Anarchy isolated and the other clans at odds, the Alliance started crumbling just when they needed unity the most. And that leads us to the final battle, the second battle of Greater Demons. This was it. The Golden Alliance was on the ropes, but they weren't going down without a fight. They made one last stand at Greater Demons, bringing every player they had left. But the Alliance was ready.
This battle was massive. Hundreds of players clashed in the wilderness, and it was chaos. But the Golden Alliance didn't have the numbers or the cohesion they needed. And the Alliance overwhelmed them. After hours of brutal fighting, the Golden Alliance was defeated, and the war was over.
With the collapse of the Golden Alliance, the Alliance solidified their control over the wilderness. But even though the Golden Alliance lost the war, their rebellion had a lasting impact. They showed that even the most powerful forces in RuneScape could be challenged, and that inspired new clans to rise up in the future.
Yeah, this war changed everything. The wilderness would never be the same. Even after the Golden Alliance was defeated, their defiance echoed through the RuneScape world. It's the kind of story that people still talk about today, because it was more than just a game. It was a legend.
Exactly. And with that, we wrap up today's episode of Behind the Capes. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into one of RuneScape's most iconic conflicts. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the wilderness battles, betrayals, and epic moments that shaped the RuneScape clan world.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. If you've got stories from those days or other epic wars you want us to cover, hit us up. We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time, stay safe in the wilds, and remember, alliances are powerful, but trust is fragile. See you next time on Behind the Capes.